Friends, well, hello everyone, my name is Max, this is Investors, your guide to the world of investments and trading. Today we will traditionally talk about the American stock market, specifically about the top 7 stocks in the field of artificial intelligence. This video is not an investment recommendation and should not be taken as a guide to action. It is for informational purposes only. So, what is happening with the main index on the American market? Let's take a look. Our main growth started from the mark of 6,343. Back here at the end of July, I mentioned that if we break through this Fibonacci level, which is the golden ratio level, then we can expect a continuation of a fairly strong growth wave. As for the current quotes, I do not think we are super close to any technical pullback. On the contrary, I believe that our growth will continue to around 6,800, 6,850, and possibly from there some technical reversals may follow. Right now we are still not at the upper Bollinger Band and we still don't have a resistance zone according to the volatility indicator. Let's try to construct it for the recent period. It is somewhere around 2.88 billion. Currently, our current value is 1.63. So overall, we seem to have at least a 1.5 to 2% growth potential in the index. That's why we can continue discussing speculations on American stocks. The next story, and actually the first story we have from stocks today is Nvidia stocks. Naturally and traditionally from the artificial intelligence sector, they are of the greatest interest to us at the moment. This includes the partnership with OpenAI, the story about chips, and the forecast of revenue growth by more than 50%. Let's look at Nvidia's quotes. They bounced strictly from the resistance, which I had indicated on the chart a long time ago. 193.48. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, now is the perfect time to do so, because every week there will be analysis from me on American stocks with technical insights, charts, and interesting upcoming levels. So subscribe and don't miss the most interesting analytics on American trading. So, Nvidia really bounced off the level I indicated, technically 193.48. We couldn't go further. And I consider the current quote very interesting in terms of starting to build a position, because we have the Fibonacci level around $180. That's 0.5 Fibonacci. Here I had it marked and now I extended it with a red dashed line. Accordingly, we have just reached this level. Our volatility indicator shows that we have a definite buy here. And on the 22nd of October, the wicks clearly hit the lower Bollinger Band. Therefore, we can expect at least a 5% increase here. Most likely, we can even expect a growth of 13.5% to the next resistance at 259. At the moment, I think Nvidia has more than enough technical momentum to achieve such growth. The next stock we have is AMD. Let's take a look at the AMD chart and what has been happening with it lately. We can see that the stock has indeed risen significantly, and this jump of more than 25% is of course a very interesting topic for discussion, because if we teleport to the weekly frames, we will see how AMD updated its highs in a wave-like manner, after which AMD experienced a decline. The question is, do we still have room for growth here, or is it gone? That's a good question for Stasi. For this, let's go back to the daily time frames and try to analyze the chart more locally. If we looked at the classic indicators of overbought and oversold, this asset would naturally show extreme overbought conditions, as if the stock couldn't be bought. But according to the check-in volatility indicator, we see a very nice area for October of this figure that has formed here. And now we are just about to break through this area upwards, going long. Therefore, I think that buying at the current price of $235 for AMD is quite a good story. Again, up to the upper Bollinger Band by 10 to 12%, around $260 per share. We absolutely have room to trade it. So let's take a look at Microsoft. In the previous episode, I also mentioned it. We discussed where to enter, and naturally everything went according to the scenario I proposed in the last video. Currently, Microsoft is showing moderate growth, and from the current quotes, Microsoft already looks, of course, not as interesting as a week ago when I did the review here. But nevertheless, Microsoft continues some upward movement. For those holding a position in Microsoft, I would move the stop to around $530 per share and fix the position around 535 right here. Those I probably wouldn't go for a breakout in Microsoft, because in terms of volatility, if we set resistance, well, overall we almost hit it here in the session before last. Therefore, Microsoft probably does not appear to be the leader among today's 7 stocks in the field of artificial intelligence. Although, of course, the integration with Copilot sounded quite interesting at the last meeting. The partnerships that were discussed and so on and so forth. By the way, you can read more about this on our Twitter. I will also leave a link to our Twitter in the description of this video, so please don't forget to subscribe to Twitter to stay updated with our daily review of American stocks. Next, we have Alphabet. Let's take a look at Google's quotes, what they offer us today.
Namely, yes.
Here is my script from the previous video. Basically, we went to implement it. I will just remind you, yes, that our target is $267 per share, then $277, and then $288. If you are currently buying Google shares, then accordingly, when the price reaches $267 per share, you move your initial stop from the level of $239 to your purchase point, essentially to break even. Upon reaching $277, you move your stop to the so-called first profit at the level of $267 and fully close the position at $288, aiming to capture around 12% here. Accordingly, we are factoring in 1.5 to 2% growth in the S&P. On average, 8 to 12% growth in each stock that we are currently reviewing in our overviews. As for Google Cloud, a 32% increase in revenue, various quantum initiatives that we could hear about this week, and so on. All of this is, of course, in the realm of AI. Google is also making significant progress. Let's move on. And our next story is Meta. Let's take a look at it. What's happening with the quotes? Honestly, I haven't opened this chart in a long time. Let's see what's going on here. If we consider resistance in terms of volatility, I wouldn't say that we have any particularly strong There is strong volatility, so in principle, buying from the current levels might even seem interesting. We have a local resistance spike at 735 and we have just reached it. Possibly there will be some technical pullback to around $700 and from there a move back up to 775. Maybe we will break through 735 upwards now, but then our movement will be, I think, more restrained. Unlike the first scenario, about 6 to 7% growth. I think we might show something here under 790. Again, in my opinion, Meta is not currently a particularly interesting story for short-term buying. As for the analysis of volatility on a broad weekly time frame, we generally see a rather interesting formation here. A formation similar to that of April 25th when we experienced a 50% increase essentially. Now we have exactly the same formation on the weekly frame. However, locally I believe that the stock might show a slight correction here. Yes, again, I remind you to around $700 per share. And from there, if we see a reversal and retest, then it seems like Meta becomes quite an interesting idea for the medium term. The next story we have is about Palantir. And regarding Palantir, I would like to say that their contracts with government agencies in the AI sector also show significant growth. And Palantir is currently being widely discussed among traders. However, regarding entry points, our position here is quite non-trivial. We have quite a complex picture regarding volatility. The quotes have been stagnant for almost 5 weeks. This corridor of dense quotes and the absolute lack of understanding of volatility movement were just standing still at a zero level. This does not add confidence in trading Palantir stocks at the moment, so I would probably stay away from them and not trade for now. Let's take a look at Tesla. What about Tesla? Tesla looks much more interesting now and is approaching its resistance. By the way, I also mentioned Tesla in the previous episode. As for some resistance, I would place it at 87 million. We are just approaching it. The picture here is much clearer. Shorting Tesla is of course a very risky endeavor, but it seems tempting to try it from this level of 467, aiming for a short down to 400 and getting about 10 to 12% in a pullback. However, the overall market movement does not align with Tesla's movement here. Upset DeFi TV płaznej inisi. I believe that Popo attempts to break through this level of 467 are possible here. At the moment, I would stay out of position. Even if it turns downward, I wouldn't go short. I would rather look for long trades in other stocks. In case we break through and consolidate above 467, well, naturally, I will probably review Tesla again in my next video on the channel exactly in a week. So please don't forget to subscribe right now, give a reaction if you liked it. And guys, please leave a comment. Yes, this video is dubbed in another language. Maybe there were some unclear moments in this video, specifically in the audio track, but nevertheless, graphically every day for 13 years we have been analyzing stocks in the stock markets. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel as well as to our Twitter. The link will be in the description. See you. Bye bye. This was Investors and my name is Max.